I want to talk about Cris Collinsworth, the broadcaster for NBC doing Sunday Night Football. I've seen a lot of articles, people saying Cris Collinsworth might be in trouble with the NFL, and even on the broadcast, Cris Collinsworth literally had a line. He said, "I'm trying not to get fired here." And Cris Collinsworth better not be in trouble. So during the broadcast, Eagles, Washington, the Eagles clearly were trying to lose the game. They were tanking. And I actually want to give credit to Cris Collinsworth. He kept trying to give every opportunity of every kind of little bit of benefit of the doubt he could to Philadelphia. He said, well, maybe they want to give Nate Sudfeld an opportunity. Maybe they want to see what he can do, try to evaluate him. And then he said, well, personally, I don't understand it because I would want to see Jalen Hurts, what he could do in a three-game, down 3 points in the fourth quarter of an important game. Wouldn't you rather evaluate, the guy who might be your starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts, next year? And the idea that Cris Collinsworth could be in trouble with the NFL, or maybe even fired, but even is in trouble at all for pointing out what Philadelphia was doing, is absurd. I mean, I want to say this. As a broadcaster, whether you're a weatherman or a podcast host or a TV, whatever, your job is not only to the company you work for, but also to the people listening to what you're broadcasting. And, I mean, imagine if I walked outside and said, you know what, the sky isn't blue today. It's red. And you're like, unless there's like a bunch of smoke, like there was earlier this year when the world was burning down to a crisp on the West Coast, for the most part, the sky is not red. The sky is blue. And if the sky is blue and I say it's something else, you're going to go, well, that's weird. I don't trust you because you're lying. It doesn't make any sense. And so Cris Collinsworth's job is to be honest and to say what he believes. And I've always liked Cris Collinsworth. I know a lot of people hate on the guy, and he's got some boneheaded moments for sure, although I would dare anybody get on live TV and talk for hours and hours and hours at a time. It's way harder than anybody gives it credit for. But Cris Collinsworth was just being honest and doing his job and saying what he saw in front of him. And if you're watching in New York, you were furious because your team is getting screwed over because the Eagles were clearly not trying to win that football game. And you have I think a responsibility to your audience to be honest about what's in front of you. Cris Collinsworth was like, this is weird. I couldn't do it. And he said everything but the word tanking. I watched very closely. I took in detailed notes. Cris Collinsworth never actually said, wow, the Eagles are clearly trying to lose, but he hinted at it over and over and said everything but that. And so the idea that Cris Collinsworth could be in trouble is absurd and ridiculous and stupid. It's part of why I never want to work for a network if I can avoid it. I like what I got going on the internet, got a big audience. I'm totally happy. And it's so crazy to me that by observing what's happening in front of you, Cris Collinsworth could get in trouble. How about you find the Eagles or do an investigation into Philadelphia? If the NFL hates tanking that much, hey, blame the team. Get in trouble, focus on the team who's doing it rather than the broadcaster who's simply being honest about what's going on. Very weird to me. I don't think Cris Collinsworth's going to get fired. He shouldn't. And if he does get fired, it's because they hate him for another reason, and this is just the reason to get rid of him. Kind of like you have a girl who's like, I broke up with him because his brown shoes were stupid. It's like, well, there's no way you broke up with the guy because you didn't like his shoes. You hated something else about him. This was just the straw that broke the camel's back that gave you a reason to fire him. So if by any chance Cris Collinsworth gets in big trouble and gets fired, it's not really because he pointed out the factual information that Philadelphia was tanking. And I wanted to have a whole segment about that because it drove me nuts to see that. Like, really, Cris Collinsworth is under fire for being honest? How stupid is that? And the corporate world